Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to this session of the 108 important slokas of the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Today we are looking at the third sloka of fourth chapter, namely transcendental knowledge. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudire nashta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki mukam karoti vachalam bhangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Sri Govardhana Paramanandamadhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge. Today we are reading text number 3. Sa evayam maya tedya yogah prokta puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hyetaduttamam. Sa evayam maya tedya yogah prokta puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hyetaduttamam. Sa evayam maya tedya yogah prokta puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hyetaduttamam. Translation: that very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. There are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it's not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge. Some of them have commentaries by devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. Commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demoniac, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna's instructions. Here is a warning about such misleading paths. One should try to follow the disciplic succession from Arjuna and thus be benefited by this great science of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Om Tat Sat. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam bangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Sri Govardhana Paramanandamadhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. Krishna is continuing his discussion with Arjuna on this very important subject called transcendental knowledge. Previously, in the beginning of the chapter, in the first two slokas, Krishna speaks about how this ancient knowledge was originally instructed by Krishna. The imperishable science of yoga is what Krishna said. In the beginning, Krishna spoke about Imam Vivasvate Yogam Avyayam. Krishna said, imperishable. So, that Avyayam Yogam, Krishna said, Aham Proktavan. I spoke that to who? To Vivaswan, and Vivaswan Manave Praha, and Manu spoke to Ikshwakave Abravit. So, the Avyayam Yogam has come down like that, O Arjuna. And then Krishna continued to say that when that yoga became nashta, then the yoga became, it got lost. Sakala neha mahata. In time, it appears to be lost. So this is how Krishna started, saying that there is a very, very ancient history to this instruction, this science of yoga. And it is originally instructed by me to Vivaswan, and Vivaswan to Manu, Manu to Ikshwaku, and it was passed down from generation to generation. And then in time, this science appeared to have become lost, in time. And now Krishna is continuing. This is a very, very interesting verse. And this is one verse which Srila Prabhupada also used to quote a particular portion of this verse very often, because it says something very wonderful. Sa evayam maya tedya yoga proktaha puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hi etad uttamam. So this rahasyam uttamam, this transcendental mystery, this topmost perfect mystery of yoga. Yoga means the science of relationship between Jiva and Bhagavad. That is yoga. And Arjuna, I am giving you this. Sa evaya maya te adya. Today, I am giving to you, te, unto you. What am I giving to you? Yoga Prokta Puratana, the oldest spoken science. The oldest spoken science today, O Arjuna, I am giving it to you. Why is that? That is the most important part of understanding transcendental knowledge. And what is that? Bhaktosi me sakha cheti. You are bhakta, asime. You are my bhakta. And sakha. Cha iti also. You are not only my devotee, you are also my friend. So, rahasyam hetaduttam. That is why I am giving you this topmost secret. Rahasyam hetaduttam. Similarly, Krishna says to Arjuna that Pravakshyami anasuyave. I am telling because you are anasuya, because you are not envious of me, Arjuna. So, from this verse, we very clearly understand what is the qualification required to attain transcendental knowledge. And what is that qualification? Bhaktosi me sakha cheti. Bhakta and sakha. That is why time and again the acharyas say that knowledge about the self and knowledge about the Supreme can only be perfectly and completely understood by the devotee of the Lord. It can only be understood by the devotee of the Lord. So then what is the understanding that other people are getting? That is also one question arises always. Prabhupada writes in the purport that this great science, this yoga, has been commented upon by devotees. And Prabhupada says, this is very, very interesting to understand that this book has also been commented upon by the demons. Now, what would be, we might wonder, when Prabhupada says that there are commentaries to this great science by the demons, we may have a doubt as to why demons are interested in commenting on this science. Because by commenting on this science in a deviant manner, they can actually try and make the reader inimical to Krishna. They can actually try and minimize Krishna. You know? That is why Prabhupada in many places he would say that one commentator, when he spoke about the Bhagavad Gita, he said that when Krishna is telling Arjuna that surrender unto me, it actually means to surrender unto the universal self within me. It seems that is what Krishna meant. So, this may sound very, very scholarly. Many of these demoniac commentaries will sound very, very scholarly. And because it sounds scholarly, people get misled. People get misled. So Prabhupada says that it is very, very important that one follows the commentary of a devotee of Krishna. And reading such a commentary is actually a devotional service. And reading or studying the commentary of a person who is inimical to Krishna and still chooses to comment on the Bhagavad Gita, reading of such a commentary is actually a waste of one's time. It can also be detrimental to one's spiritual progress. We have to keep on repeating this to ourselves, because actually our untrained mind is our greatest enemy, and if we examine ourselves, what is the greatest thing that can be detrimental to my spiritual life? It is my own mind. So when we keep on repeating this thing about Bhagavad Gita being commented upon by inimical people, Bhagavad Gita being commented upon by people who are demoniac in nature, also we have to very clearly identify and understand who is a demon. Who is a demon? Who is an asura? You know, that asura word that has got a big purport. You know, asura is not immediately you think that, you know, your boss is asura, my colleague is an asura, the man next door is the asura, you know, the man who is perpetrating these things is asura. Yes, we can actually see in the material world lot of people showing demoniac nature, demoniac characteristics. But the fundamental characteristic of a demoniac person is that he is inimical to the supremacy and the personality of the Supreme Lord. Two things: supremacy and personality. There are some people who may speak in a very abstract manner about the supreme absolute truth. By saying so, they negate the personal aspect of the supreme. That is also not a very positive attitude towards the Supreme Lord. You know, like after commenting about the entire Bhagavad Gita and saying that when Krishna says surrender unto me, he did actually tell Arjuna that surrender unto me, the son of Vasudeva, but surrender unto me, who is a universal self, which is you and me. So this is actually, if you deeply analyze, this is a very inimical commentary. This is a demoniac commentary to the Bhagavad Gita. So, knowledge is one thing. Knowledge about the self is one thing. Knowledge that is transcendental to the three modes of material nature is an entirely different thing altogether, and it can only be understood by bhakta and sakha, one who is devoted to Krishna and one who is friendly to Krishna. You know, in one's imperfect stage, we are all very imperfect people. We are all on the, very, very impure platform of performing bhakti. And however much we may exhibit externally some traits of surrender to Krishna, each one of us will be fighting and struggling with our mind, which actually tells us, or which actually influences us in a way that stops us from surrendering to Krishna. That means it is acting as a blockade that stops us from gaining this transcendental knowledge. You see, that is why Krishna says that the transcendental knowledge is given to you, Arjuna, because you are my devotee and my friend. So being friendly to Krishna and being devoted to Krishna is actually two very, very great qualities. It is beyond normal intellectual ability, we must understand. With simply having some intellectual ability, trying to understand various things on the platform of matter and understanding it very perfectly and being able to discuss on it, very elaborately. All that on an intellectual level will sound very good, very nice. When somebody speaks about atom and neutron and proton and electron and free radical and how it moves, and there is particle and there is motion and there is emotion and commotion and all those things, it will all sound very scholarly. How the solar system is moving and how the sun is burning and how after 2,040,000 years later this will happen, like this explosion will come. So many things, intellectual. But such type of intellect will not help even one iota when it comes to understanding transcendental knowledge. All that great intellectual ability will be of no use if one is not a devotee. So, while Krishna in this chapter 4 is going to discuss Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, it is a very technical chapter. Fourth chapter you read from end to end, very, very technical. And you can discuss and discuss and discuss and discuss and discuss on it, Various acharyas have presented an elaborate commentary on the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. As we move on, we will just look at a few very important things. Then we will understand it. Very technical, very intellectual. But what is the prelude to the entire discussion? Very, very important to note. The prelude to this entire discussion about Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, Krishna is telling Arjuna, I am telling you this because you are my devotee and my friend. That means, if you are not my devotee or my friend, my dear friend, you will not understand anything, even if you discuss this for millions of years together. This is the nature of transcendental knowledge. So, when Prabhupada says, Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demoniac, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. That is why I said, demoniac person, he cannot accept the supremacy. He cannot accept the personality. He also cannot accept Godhead. Godhead means that from which entire everything that is about God is emanating. Like we use the word fountainhead. Fountainhead means that from which a fountainhead of knowledge we say, right? Godhead means everything to do with God, the source of that which is the source of everything to do with God. That is God. So, the demoniac questions the supremacy. The demoniac will question the personality. And the demoniac can never accept Godhead, that actually he is the source. So, in short, Prabhupada would say, the demoniac do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They cannot accept that he is a person. And they cannot accept that he alone is the Supreme. They will say we are equal. What does that mean? When I say that I am equal to the Parabrahman, what does that mean? That means I don't accept you are Supreme. Come on. You and me, we are the same. So where is the question of you being supreme, I being unsupreme or whatever? Whatever is the opposite to supreme is. So by saying that, what are we becoming? We are becoming demoniac. And then, we also say that, it is absolute truth, abstract, there is no personality involved. So then what about Shyamam Tribhanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham? Is it not? Shyamam Tribhanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham. Nava Yavvanam Cha. He is freshly bloomed youth. That's the beauty of Krishna. Namah Pangaja Netraya, Namah Pangajangraye. So, eyes beautiful like the lotus petal, feet as smooth as a lotus bud. So, what about all those things? So all that is being negated. And by saying that everything is on the same platform, we are also negating the fact that he is from which everything emanates. So this is actually, in short, demoniac nature. So, as long as we have these things, we cannot understand transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge means knowledge to do with everything that is transcendental to this material world. So, this rahasyam uttamam, this is the reason why it is called rahasyam. Rahasyam is the devotee's relationship with Krishna. Rahasyam, it is the topmost secret, the relationship of Krishna and his devotee. And that becomes revealed only to the devotee by Krishna directly. That is why Rupa Goswami said, Swayameva Spuratyadam. When I get through all my anartha nivritti, and when I have nishtha, and I develop ruchi, and then asakti, and then I have bhava, then by Krishna's mercy, my relationship with Krishna will be revealed. But that is not revealed to Tom, Dick, and Harry. That's not revealed to anybody who is walking on the street. Krishna keeps that as rahasyam uttamam. And to be revealed only to the bhakta. Other than that, on the platform of simply empirical, analytical knowledge, if I try to understand my relationship with Krishna, where I don't even accept Krishna as the person, then where is the question of relationship? Then when there is no question of person, there is no relationship. When there is no relationship, where is the question of understanding the relationship? If everything is, everything is the same. It is like, cooked suji with neither salt nor sugar. What is it? Nirvikara, Nirakara. Who would ever go near it? Either it should have salt or it should have sugar. Either it should have salt with some pepper or chili or ginger or whatever, or it should have some sugar with some cashew and with some, ghee and whatnot. Otherwise, simply you cook suji with water. What is that? That is impersonalism. Neither the cook is interested in eating it, nor the person for whom it is cooked is interested in eating it. Right? So, if relationship has to be revealed, there should be person. Relationship can only be between two persons. Relationship can never be between two electrons, two protons, two neutrons. What relation they have? Relation between two atoms. If you ask if within a molecule, if there are X number of atoms, do they have cohesive property? Maybe yes, according to chemistry, maybe yes. But is there a meaningful relationship? You see? So, and anyway, atoms are not conscious matter, so it really doesn't matter to them. But we are conscious sentient beings. Relationship matters to the living entity. So he must endeavor to understand that. That is transcendental knowledge. And Krishna will keep it a secret as long as you don't become devoted to Krishna. And because of Maya, because you have interacted with Maya, because you have chosen Maya over Krishna. Krishna has no inclination to remove that Maya covering. But when I become a devotee, Krishna will uncover it in front of me. So it is very, very difficult to understand Krishna. It is very, very difficult to understand Krishna. So anybody who is commenting on the Bhagavad Gita, following in the footsteps of Arjuna, that actually will give us some benefit. Otherwise, it's of absolutely no use. It is not at all easy to understand these things. It is not so easy to have this knowledge. Even people with the highest levels of knowledge, one person to whom knowledge was revealed into the heart directly by Krishna, So that person, he is telling Krishna, Athapite deva padambujadvaya prasadaleshanugrahita evahi janadi tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya ekopi chiram vichinvan. This is Brahma speaking to Krishna. Brahma says, my Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. Chiram Vichinvan. They keep on speculating, Vichinvan Chiram. They keep speculating for very, very long periods of time. For what? Janadi Tattvam Bhagavan Mahimno. To know the Mahima of Bhagavan. The truth of the greatness of Bhagavan. Janadi Tattvam. Tattva means truth. To know, the Tattva of Lord's greatness. It can only be attained by prasada leshanugrahita. Lesha anugrahita. One should have at least a very little, a trace of mercy, anugrahita. One should have that a trace of lesha anugraha. That much at least we should have. If that is there, then what happens? Then for him, he becomes Janadi Tattvam Bhagavan Mahim. Nacha Anya Eko Apichiram Vichinvan. Not anyone else who Chiram Vichinvan. Not those people who are spending years and years and years and years of speculating. So, prasada leshanugrahita evahi janati bhagavan, janati tattvam bhagavan mahim. So, this is transcendental knowledge, knowledge about Krishna, knowledge about self, knowledge about the Supreme Lord, and the relationship between the self and the Supreme Lord. We keep on repeating this because this is the fundamental subject matter. This is the fundamental subject matter. And to actually have real factual understanding of this, one must become a devotee. Krishna is not saying so much in direct words, but he says, Bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hetaduttam. Because you are my bhakta and my sakha and my friend, So I am telling you this rahasya. So for those who are not Bhakta and Sakha, what is understanding? Become a Bhakta and Sakha and take this rahasyam hyataduttam. You know? So understanding transcendental knowledge, understanding about self, understanding about the world, understanding about creation, understanding about God and His purpose of creation, understanding God and His process of creation. All these intellectual pursuits or so-called intellectual pursuits are possible, can be attained only when one has devotion to Lord Krishna. That is the purport of this verse. Hey Arjuna, not everybody can understand. It is not possible. Even though this is, see again when we go back, even though this is the oldest knowledge that is existing. Yoga Prokta Puratanaha. Puratana means very old. And about its history, Krishna already said. Vivaswan, the oldest person, he has been given that. What does that mean? It is there right from the beginning. So right from the beginning until the time it is given to Arjuna, before that, at that time and after that, it has that rahasyam nature. That is what we must understand. So whether one lived during Vivaswan's time or one lived during Arjuna's time or one is living in Kali Yuga, its rahasya swabhava remains. Its confidential nature remains. And it will continue to remain. That is why it is called rahasya. So however much you advertise it, however much you throw it open, people can actually hear it. People can repeat it. People can vomit it. But understanding is a different proposition altogether. We can swallow it, and without digesting, we can vomit it. Just like I am giving this class. Simply swallow and then put it out exactly as it is. No digestion. This is called spiritual indigestion. So we shouldn't have spiritual indigestion. We should take it, ingest it, digest it, understand it, absorb it. And how do we express that understanding? Expressing that understanding is not simply by repeating it. Expressing the understanding of transcendental knowledge is by practicing it. By putting it into practice. Practice it. When we are in the chemistry laboratory, we practice the experiment until the blue ring and the green ring and whatever ring and then the blue smoke and the white smoke comes out. We practice. So like that, that is why Prabhupada speaks about practicing spiritual life, practicing transcendental knowledge. It is a very, very dynamic thing to do. Transcendental knowledge, dealing with it is a very dynamic thing. It is not simply some armchair philosophy. We have to go through it, we have to diligently study it, absorb it, practice it and see. Wait for the results to appear. All that result will appear Swayameva Spuratyada, when one becomes a devotee of them. So, Rahasyam Hetaduttamam can be understood by all of us by simply becoming a devotee of Krishna. So, that is how we can actually understand this Yoga Prokta Puratana, this most ancient and Rahasyam, most confidential knowledge can be understood by one who is devoted to Krishna, one who is a friend of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita Grantharaj ki jai. Can ask questions. Those who have questions, they can ask. Unmute yourselves and ask questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I have one small doubt.
Yeah.
When I came into Krishna consciousness, I was told by my Shiksha Guru that it is a very easy process. You take these beats and start chanting. And that's all. Okay, I felt it easy. Of course, initially chanting was not very easy, but as time progressed, I managed to reach the grounds and then the shelter initiation. But towards the recent past, I realized that it is a very, very extremely difficult process to follow. Primarily, because I realized that the enemies are, as you mentioned in many of your classes, the enemies are inside. And it is really becoming very, very tough to deal with these enemies, despite what you are taking. And I feel that it may take millions of my birth time to clean this. Not even one enemy I'm able to manage. Is there anything you can guide? I mean, maybe I'm too impatient. In one of your answers to me, you told me that you should be patient. Is there anything? I mean, sometimes I get very unhappy also, feeling not satisfied with the whole thing, the whole process. I'm following the process. But in the past, at least, the satisfaction was there. But now, when I started realizing that the enemies are sitting inside, then the satisfaction is kind of dropping as the day passes. So, what can be done for
that? One thing I can tell you more than what I have said before is that once a very senior Prabhupada disciple told that one way it is good if you feel you are not making progress. Maharaj said, if you think I have made progress, you will not make any more progress. So one positive thing out of this whole thing is that progress is an ongoing process. And bhakti is an ongoing process of progress. And what is the result of bhakti? Narada Muni very clearly says, result of bhakti is more bhakti. What is the result of more bhakti? Is further more bhakti. That means bhakti is something that can keep on improving. We can keep on improving in our various types of devotional services that we do. So, one thing is that. The other thing is, yes, utsaha, nischaya, dhairya. Endeavor with enthusiasm, have determination, have patience, and tat karma pravartanat. That means whatever the acharyas have taught, we should follow. Like they say in English, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. The wheel was a very, very great invention as far as modern science is concerned. And they keep saying, don't reinvent the wheel. So we say that process of self-realization exists since the beginning of time. You don't have to reinvent it. Whatever reinvention we are trying to do is what is putting us into trouble. We simply have to follow the process of self-realization that is given by the acharyas. And small things will be there. And if there are really, what should I say, matters that are of serious concern, then one should also address it very seriously. If I have a matter of serious concern, it's like, see, spiritual life, I mean, spiritual health and physical health. In physical health, there'll be some niggles, some knee pain is there, some little back pain is there, Then when I can't straighten my knee, then I should take expert advice. When I can't sit after I stand up, and when I can't stand up after I sit, I must go and get, attention, checked it up by an expert like that. So in spiritual life also, small niggles we know, and we can address it ourselves. Small cream and a small powder will be okay, but then if there is any other problem, then we must. So these are the things we can do. And the more we study, the more we practice, we will find newer and newer ways of improving. Every day is a learning process in spiritual life. Nobody is perfect. If we were perfect, we will not be here. As simple as that. So we should take every day as a learning, and we should make sure that those learnings stay with us. Our problem is that, today I have a mistake, I make a mistake, I learn. Tomorrow I forget it. That's our problem, actually. When you are learning project management, they teach you, in every project you have a section called lessons learned. If you ever went for a PMP training, they would teach you this. It's called a lessons learned. And you are supposed to document it and refer to it before you start the next project, so that whatever lessons you learned in this project can be applied in that project, so that you won't. What is a lesson learned is a mistake made, basically. They, in modern parlance, they teach you to take it positively. Lesson learned means a mistake made. That's a lesson I've learned. So that learning we carry into the next project means what? We don't make the same mistake. It's like that. So we can take all these things to heart and progress. Thank you for the question, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other question, Prabhu?
I can share my experience as a doctor and a devotee.
Yes, Prabhu. Your voice is a little low. Can you speak a little louder?
Yeah, sure. Because I'm right now in Bangalore. Just reached Bangalore for some purpose.
Okay.
Prabhu, I'll take just 2 minutes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
As a doctor, everyone knows there are 24 hours per day.
Yeah.
The body takes 27 hours to complete its work, actually.
Okay.
24 hours, but the body, the metabolism takes 27 hours, actually. And suppose if you can manage, because this depends on the different activities. If one can manage to complete everything in 24 hours, you look fresh all the time, like you or like many. Every time you see you're fresh. Many people, they don't know this actually, how to adapt this, your activities to equally divide, and then you become fresh all the time. Like for example,